Villains. They play a very important role in games, and a lot of stories in general, acting as the main conflict or antagonist for the plot of a story. Some may be very generic take over the world and mindless destruction types. Some villains' main goal may be to get revenge on someone or something, or maybe have a more sympathetic motive. However, one of my personal favorite villain types are the wacky and unpredictable ones. The ones that are super entertaining to watch and have amazing personalities. The ones that are hilarious one minute and absolutely ruthless the next. The ones that are so mesmerizing that half the time I kind of see myself rooting for them. These types of villains never get old in my opinion, and I know I'm not the only one who feels this way, as these characters are typically regarded as fan favorites in any community. So that's why I've always wondered, why is Fu from No More Heroes 3 never talked about? I mean, he fits the bill perfectly. He's witty, entertaining to watch, and just steals the show whenever he's on screen. However, he's also a legitimate threat at the same time. He's single-handedly the reason I even finished No More Heroes 3 to begin with, as, I'll be honest with you, it's a game that I was pretty disappointed with. However, Fu just being such an amazing character kept me playing. I just couldn't wait to see what he would do next. Today, I wanted to talk about why I love Fu so much, and why I feel he is super underrated. So, the basic premise of the No More Heroes games is that you play as an assassin named Travis Touchdown, and fight to the death against other assassins to get to the top of the UAA rankings. In each game, Travis has some sort of reason for wanting to do so, mostly dependent on the plot. However, the third game decides to add an alien invasion in just for kicks, which may sound completely random and out of nowhere, but if you played the No More Heroes games before, you know for a fact random and out of nowhere is a normal Tuesday for this series. Fu was an alien that crash landed on Earth and is found by a boy named Damon. So upon finding a real alien, instead of telling his parents or contacting the authorities like a reasonable person, he decides to befriend Fu and take care of him in secret. All of E.T. out here. He helps Fu build a rocket so he can go home, but before Fu leaves, he gives Damon some of his power and tells him he'll come back in 20 years. Oddly specific, but okay. Then he just yeets on out of there.
2,000 years later.
Well, look who's back, and oh my god, why is he hot now?
Oh no, he's hot!
Like seriously, how the hell did he go from looking like a pre-evolution of a Pokemon to handsome Squidward level hot? In all seriousness though, his design is amazing. Being this tall, blue, imposing figure, covered in stripes, long hair that kinda resembles his fur from when he was a child, and purple glowing eyes, all the while wearing a fancy patterned cape, golden horn crown which also has eyes on it, and most importantly, red pants! Not only does this give him a very intimidating look, but it's also very flashy and stands out a lot, which fits his very over-the-top personality. So yeah, Fu returns to Earth as promised, and now he's
a full-on prince.
He now has the full intention to take over the planet with his group of friends he conveniently got while in prison. Yeah, apparently he went to prison between the 20-year gap or something, I don't know. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why would Fu want to take over the planet? I thought he was a cute little guy that would never hurt a fly.
It's morning!
Yeah, nah. Not only is he super ruthless and bloodthirsty, but he also acts super nonchalant and entitled while doing so. Hell, when he first returns to Earth, he casually orders an entire city to be obliterated for no reason whatsoever, all the while calling himself a superhero. What? First cutscene in, and I already knew he was gonna be a phenomenal villain. And guess what? He somehow gets even better. The next time he appears in the game is the meeting room scene, which is by far the best cutscene in the game, as not only does this scene perfectly display everything that makes Fu an entertaining character, but it's also just hilarious in general. So after the first boss fight with Mr. Black Hole, Fu is notified of his defeat. Upon hearing the news, he's clearly gonna be pissed off, right? I mean, this was his friend we're talking about, right?
One is gone.
Did Black Hole get killed? I see. Dead, huh? That's kind of funny. Man, that was your best friend!
What's also funny about this is he later uses Black Hole's death to justify killing Badman, even though he clearly didn't care too much about him to begin with. It really seems like he'll just use any excuse to kill anybody. Anyway, Damon goes to his board meeting for whatever company he runs. I don't know, maybe he sells shampoo bottles or something. And Fu joins him.
So, these are like really capable dudes, huh?
Of course. They're specialists in a wide range of...
Yeah. Bunch of losers. Well,
Dude's like a ticking time bomb. One second he's acting all buddy-buddy towards Damon, the next he just cleans out his entire staff. Speaking of which, why is this guy wearing a gas mask? Oh, this game was originally supposed to come out in 2020. Makes sense. So if things weren't seeming crazy enough, Fu just casually hits up the president, and by hits him up, I mean he quite literally does that. And proceeds to make an announcement to the entire planet about his little game of conquest. If anyone can defeat him and his 9 friends, he'll leave.
you'll have 10 of the most elite dudes in the galaxy awaiting you.
Or, well, one of them got killed. So 9, I guess.
Man, this scene just has everything. It has violence, bromance, humor, and nuclear warfare. So far, we have a villain that has a great design, amazing dialogue, super entertaining, and poses a legit threat to the world of the story. All these things alone make Fu a phenomenal villain to begin with. But what if I told you he also has somewhat of a character arc throughout the game? As we have seen, Fu is very full of himself, killing with no regard for life, treating other people around him like objects, and being a prince of an entire galaxy probably doesn't help. So what would happen if his ego was taken down a peg? By someone equally as full of themselves. Enter Travis Touchdown, the main protagonist of the series. Travis, in a lot of ways, is just like Fu. He's just as violent and just as egotistical. For frick's sake, Travis's main motive for climbing up the UAA rankings in the first game was so he can get laid by a chick who, let's be honest, is probably a solid 4 out of 10. So, pitting 2 majorly prideful dudes against each other is going to make a very interesting rivalry. After Travis killed Black Hole and the entire meeting room scene, Fu stops by his house to confront him. And this, my friends, is where Fu runs into his first issue. His outlook on humans is that they're weak and cowardly. However, Travis is not afraid of him. He is the first person who stands up to him and even mocks him.
Oh, so you're challenging me, huh? You talk a pretty big game, Prince Dumb.
You, a human, ridicule me? That shall not stand.
Not only has his ego been bruised, but by a human of all people. Someone he sees as lesser than him. He then kills Travis's friend Badman, as mentioned earlier, stating,
You killed my buddy, right? And so, well, this is how it's gotta be.
Yeah, you mean the friend you laughed at for dying and clearly didn't care about? It's implied you even destroyed this dude's home planet in a fit of rage. Like, what the heck? Whatever, this sets up Travis and Fu's rivalry, as both now have a reason to want to take the other out. Now, I like to bring up the cutscenes that take place before every fight. I really like these scenes, as not only do they give Fu and the bosses more personality, but it also displays Fu's further descent into madness as Travis gets closer and closer to fighting him. Earlier in the game, the chats he has are typically him and the boss hanging out, reminiscing on good times, and just being friends. However, as more and more of his friends die, he clearly starts to get more unhinged. I thought he already was unhinged. I mean, well, yes, but even more so than he already was. He starts treating them very poorly, getting mad at their incompetence, and clearly starting to get increasingly more afraid of Travis as their inevitable fight approaches. He even goes as far as to kill the 2nd and 3rd rankers just because. I mean, bro, this dude was literally just wanting to take a nap and you headbutted him to death. What the heck? Seeing Fu go from being an arrogant killing machine with no care in the world to legitimately being afraid of Travis is honestly a really interesting character arc. This all comes ahead during their final confrontation, with Travis calling Fu out on being afraid of him, and while he tries to deny it, going as far as saying he doesn't know the definition of fear, it's very clear he's experiencing it. Heck, after he's beaten by Travis, he turns tail and runs away back to his home planet. Not after Damon comes in and kills him, that is. So obviously, there's no such thing as a perfect villain, and Fu definitely has his own set of flaws. But the biggest one has to be how dirty the game does him at the end of the story. So this entire game, the fight between Travis and Fu has been built up non-stop. You, the player, cannot wait for this epic brawl of the ages. You storm into his throne room, him and Travis have their typical banter, they get in each other's faces, and begin a somewhat disappointing final battle, in my opinion.
You two should kiss!
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of this fight. I know some people will disagree with me, but I'm sorry, I just don't enjoy it that much. It's not bad, it's just, I don't like it. Okay, I will admit though, it's definitely nowhere near as bad as the last game's final boss. Trust me, I don't think anything can top that show. The first phase isn't really that bad. In fact, it does offer a decent challenge. The problem I have with it is that it just so happens to share the same gimmick with Jean from the first game, which is the boss being completely immune to damage except for a few frames after they attack, which is kind of annoying to be honest. It requires a lot of patience, which is something I very much lack. However, the second phase is actually terrible. It pretty much has you waiting around this weird dome thing for him to attack so you can maybe get 2 or 3 hits in before waiting around for another 10 hours for him to attack again. This just drags on forever and feels super anticlimactic. And the worst part is, Fu isn't even the final boss of the game. Damon is.
Oh my god, it's hideous!
Yeah, at the last minute, the game decides to replace Fu with this pathetic excuse of a villain. His entire motive is that Travis hit him.
You hit me, didn't you? You hit me! Not even my dad has ever hit me!
Bruh.
I'm sorry, why would you replace an endlessly entertaining character with this sad excuse of a person? Well, what about Damon's fight? Is it at least good? No. The first part is a Daemon X Machina reference, which is pretty cool, I guess, but it's just a bunch of QTEs, which isn't anything that special. Then there's the actual fight, which is kind of a mixed bag. On one hand, it's a Super Smash Bros. Reference, which is super cool, and I remember I was absolutely hyped about this. Suda51 out here saw Travis didn't make it in the Ultimate and was like,
Fine. I'll do it myself.
However, the main issue is that it's pathetically easy and lasts for like 10 seconds. At least Fu's fight was challenging, where this, well, isn't. What is it with me at ragging on final bosses that are really easy? It's honestly sad to see Fu get tossed aside like this. But hey, even despite that, Fu is still a great villain. His endlessly entertaining dialogue, interesting character arc, and overall legitimate threat he poses in the story makes him one of my personal favorite antagonists in gaming. And I still to this day don't know why people don't talk about him. He's such a fun villain. I just hope in the future more people can come together and appreciate the masterpiece that is Fu. Because in my opinion, he truly is underrated. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy, please hit the like and subscribe button as it really helps out my channel, and feel free to check out some of my other videos as well. We are getting really close to 500 subs, so I'd really appreciate if you can help me get to that goal pretty soon. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of the video, and if you guys have any other ideas for videos I can make as well. With that being said, I'm gonna take my leave now. You guys have a great rest of your day.